Hi guys, this is Lisha from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with another video. This is video 5 of my 2020 reading wrap-up series. And actually, I forgot that I had one more video after this, so we have another one coming very soon after this, and that will be my 2020 book awards, which I completely forgot. But anyway, let's get into what this video is about, and that is my 2020 reading stats. I like stats. Seems like I'm not the only one, since this is a semi-popular type of booktube video to put out. And yeah, I did this for the first time in 2019 because that was the year where I was really paying attention to what exactly the numbers of what I was reading beyond my total for the year. And I continued that in 2020, this time with the assistance of two things. The main one being a reading spreadsheet that I got from Ali the Hardback Hoarder. I adjusted it a little bit, but not too much, mostly just adding some things to certain categories, like adding a subgenre section and some more rep categories like sexuality, gender, and adjusting the race a little bit, but not much. So I mostly kept it to what Ali put out in 2020. Link in the description down below to her 2021 spreadsheet. I haven't gone into it yet, but I'll also link the 2020 spreadsheet just in case, so you can see the differences. Ali updates it every year. This 2021 upcoming year, I have made more changes to personalize it for myself, and I took some bits and pieces from other spreadsheets, like the Book Riots spreadsheet and one other whose name I'm forgetting. It's more of a community creation. I'll put it on the screen here. Link to both in the description down below. The other thing that helped me this year a little bit less was having a books read page in my bullet journal every month, and that was more to keep me to have easy access to the main stats when I did my monthly reading wrap-ups, my bi-monthly wrap-ups, and I enjoyed those. I share a couple of those spreads here as I'm talking about it, but the main thing for me was the spreadsheet. So that's what I'm pulling from for this video. I hope you enjoy it. I did do a mid-year stats video, I think, or maybe it was just a mid-year freak out video. Check it out. I'll link it in the card above so you can watch that if you want. But looking back on it was very interesting, and it's cool now that I have 2 years worth of stats to look at, because I can compare and contrast and make plans for 2021. So let's get into those stats. I've talked enough. First and foremost, the big one. Books read. I read 101 books in 2020. I knew I could. I knew I'd done it before, but it's been a while since I've hit 100, and that's okay. That was not my reading goal this year. On Goodreads, I put 60 as my reading goal because that's like usually the bare minimum for me. far as how much I read. So yeah, my Goodreads total says 93. Now the difference is because of two collections, the Oz collection and then the Arcanum Unbounded, which is the collection of Cosmere short stories that take place in between the bigger series in the Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson. So things like Mistborn, Secret History, Allomancer Jack, Elantris, Emperor's Soul, things like that. So the same with the Oz collection. That's the first 3 stories in the Oz collection. And the reason I broke them up in my spreadsheet is because I didn't read them back to back. I read them one at a time, not knowing if I would continue the entire and finish the entire collection, bind up. And they were all spread out throughout the year, so that's what I did. And since I did not complete Arcanum Unbound, and all of those individual stories are published individually somewhere else, I put them in my spreadsheet, but was too lazy to do it like that in Goodreads. So that literally accounts for the 8-book difference in my total. But moving on. Pages read, 30,368. That is roughly 5,000 or 6,000 more than last year, and that's mainly because I read a lot of tomes this year. Reading the Cosmere, reading Witcher books, reading the Farseer trilogy and the first book in the Liveship Traders, 4 books in the Realm of the Elderling definitely helped with that. So even when I had slow reading months, I didn't read as many books. I read thick books, at least one each month this year. Yeah, hours listened 150.7. Now, I don't think I included this in 2019 stats, and that's okay. It's I read a lot more audiobooks this year. I think last year I didn't listen to as many, so I didn't go into it, but maybe I'm just forgetting. The reason for this I'll get into when I talk about the formats I read, but yeah. I acquired 14 books, and I've talked about this before, so I'll mention briefly. This was in large part thanks to Tor.com's offering of free sci-fi and fantasy books on Thursdays sometimes. There was a lot of books that I had heard about thanks to BookTube and Book Twitter in these categories, in these genres that I was interested in. So when they came up, I was like, let's get it, girl. And I also got a couple of ebooks at the very end of the year through BookBub. Library checkouts, 85. That's right. I checked out 85 books this year. That is more than last year. I was even more dependent on the library than I was in the past, and that's okay. Of those 85 library books that I checked out, I read a total of 82. So I only am leaving 2020 with 3 books still checked out that are unread. I tried. I really did try. But the end of December, I really was just not feeling like pushing myself. And that is more than okay. Next, I want to talk about the reading months. How did I do? My highest reading month was March, understandably, and My lowest reading month was January. Again, understandably. I don't know how many books I'm going to get to this month with all of the videos I've been doing, but I'll read at least four. Now, my longest book read was Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. They came in at 1,263 pages. I find that a little bit odd because I thought Words of Radiance was longer than Way of Kings, Words of Radiance being book 2 in the Stormlight Archive series, while Way of Kings is book 1, but I was wrong. The shortest book I read, also by Brandon Sanderson, is The 11th Metal, coming in at 21 pages. This was the slight surprise. I thought one of the graphic novels I read was shorter, and there was a couple of other like novellas, but I guess those were longer than my brain thought they were. The 11th Metal is one of the short stories that are included in the Arcanum Unbounded bind-up that I mentioned earlier. Let's talk about formats. I mentioned earlier it gets a little wild due to the coronavirus and just life in general, quite honestly, because the physical library was closed until I think mid-July here in New York City. You could not check out physical books. Audiobooks and ebooks were the way to read from the library. So I read 12 audiobooks and 40 ebooks, 48 physical books. And I will put the amount of graphic novels I read here because for whatever reasons I messed up and forgot to write it down. But more than last year, which I like, I'm including, and that's graphic novels / manga, because as soon as I could get the physical books, I got those and finished the Attack on Titan. All of them translated and available in the US. So there's that. Next up, owned voices. I read 22 owned voices books. I'm trying for more consciously, and for the most part, these were based on race and nationality rather than sexuality or gender. This is something I'm just trying to do. It's more that I'm trying to read more diversely in general, and own voices is better and honestly easier when reading more diversely. Let's talk about the audience. So there is no real surprises here, but I read 72 adult books, 14 young adult books, which is down from last year, one new adult book, 4 middle grade books, and 6 children's books. There was enough of the children's and the middle grade that I separated them. Last year, I think I kept them together. Because of the genres, the books and series that I focused in on this year, adult heavy, and I didn't get to as many contemporaries, which I think last year was where a lot of my young adults came in. But I also read more middle grade and children's books. I'd like to thank How to Train Your Gavin Hetherington. Link in the description down below for that. Just last year, following him made me aware of a lot more classics, children's classics, and middle grade classics that I don't remember reading and I wanted to get to. So there's that, and then also made me aware of new series that I wanted to try that sounded really interesting. That fell into one of those categories. Next, gender identity. I mostly read cisgender books. After a while, I kind of stopped counting. But otherwise, I read 8 gender books with gender fluid characters, gender fluid main characters, 1 book with a gender queer main character, 2 books with transgender characters, and 1 unknown. I tried to put where it was specifically stated. Otherwise, I didn't count them. But I would like to read more diversely in this. Race. Now, I broke this up, though I probably didn't need to. I probably should have separated these out. I have more location and race mixed in here. So at the time, I just wanted to separate Black, American, and non-American, and then I wanted to be specific from where. And so it became a whole thing. So my apologies for mixing these up. I didn't realize it until I was going over this, and then I was like, that was girl. So I read 9 books from Black, African American, with Black or African American main characters, 5 books with African main characters, 8 books with Asian main characters, 2 books with Latinx main characters, 8 books with mixed characters, and this is either a main character is mixed with race within themselves, or where we have 2 main characters and they are of different races. It's kind of hard to figure out how to count them both, so I put them in mixed. And then again, white is in here, and that's the majority, and it just became a whole thing. I have 1 unknown because I was very confused. I'm not gonna go over which book that is, but yeah. Sexuality. I read 6 books with bisexual main characters, 4 books with gay main characters, 3 books with lesbian gay main characters, 1 book with a pansexual main character, and 4 books with queer main characters. I want to adjust this next year to, for the gay and lesbian parts, to include female of female, male of male, because there was a couple of instances, like 2 in both categories here, where I realized after the fact that they never explicitly stated that that was their sexuality. So and I realized after learning more that if it's not explicitly stated, then I can't just assume, and I want to try not to assume about that or anything. I don't like assuming. Let's talk about my own books. I started keeping a list. I know that I don't have very many physical books that I own that I have not read. But I realized that I do have a lot of books on Kindle that I have not read. And a couple on Nook from Barnes & Nobles. And now I have the 14 new ebooks that I got in 2020 that I acquired that are unread to add to that. So at the end of 2020, my owned TBR total is 49 books, and I only read 4 of those this year. That is 8.16%. So I've got 45 unread books to read. About the source, where they came from. This is another category that I expanded from Allie's original thing, because I'm not buying a lot of books, whatever format. I am getting them as gifts, rarely, and getting them from various places at the library or other free sources. So I do need to adjust this because I did not include uh, the ones that came from Tor or BookBub because I haven't read any of those. But for next year, I will add that. So books read from, I got 2 gift books, 56 from the library, and 25 books from Overdrive. The Overdrive app is a library app, but I put that in there. 1 book was read from a publisher. That's right, I got an ARC. I got an ARC this year directly from the publisher, thanks to Goodreads. So I felt really good about that. And 2 books from somewhere else. Probably didn't remember, and that is that. Now, let's go into the big one, genres. Now, I've split this into 2 categories, main genre and subgenre. The main genres, I read 4 classics, 6 contemporary, 1 dystopian, 57 fantasy. This is why I needed subgenres. 2 graphic novels and 1 magical realism. 7 mystery, 5 nonfiction, 4 paranormal, 8 romance, 6 sci-fi, and that's me. Now, I have to say, those 7 mystery are all Sherlock Holmes stories from the complete collection ebook that I have that's thousands of pages long. So, because I didn't really read anything else. Some of those may seem like subgenres as well, so this is what it is. I read 13 epic fantasies or high fantasy, 1 anthology, 5 manga, 3 fairy tales, 1 play, or I DNF'd 1 play, attempted to read a play, 2 memoirs, 1 witchcraft book, and 2 mythology books. So the sci-fi, that's a new one. I think I read maybe 1 sci-fi last year, but it was a goal to get some more sci-fi, to try some because I heard about some that sounded good, and I have been enjoying the sci-fi that I have read. So I feel good that I'm able to choose from this genre that I don't read normally, books that I like. I don't think there was 1 sci-fi where I was like, no, I don't like this. Let's talk about ratings. I read 11 5-star books, 15 4.5 star books, 29 4-star books, 24 3.5 star books, 13 3-star books, 3 2.5 star books, and 2 2-star books. And I DNF'd 3 books this year. So this spreadsheet, the way it's set up is that DNFs are counted towards your total reads. So I guess technically I have read 98 books, which is fine. That's okay. I think the latter half of the year I wasn't picking as much of what I wanted. I was doing the read-alongs, which I'll get into in a second, and I don't know, just and not as many readathons, and so I don't know, I was mentally putting aside books that I really, really, really wanted to read for stuff that I was just kind of interested in, and things that I had no clue how it was going to be. And at a lot of tomes more in the second half of the year because I decided to join Elderling along, and I was already doing reading the Witcher series and the Cosmere Stormlight Archive. So it was intense. So, which meant that my ratings, more of the lower ratings, came in the second half of the year. But I'm pretty happy with my ratings. Like, not too bad. I had a decent amount of 5 stars and 4.5 stars. Having 4 and 3.5 stars is good to me. I'm feeling good about picking books and enjoying them at the very least. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is readathons. So, one of the things I definitely wanted to do this year was join readathons. I enjoy the themes, and they often get me to pick up books that I wouldn't normally have in the forefront of my mind. Like, these are all mostly from my general TBR books I want to try out that I have on Goodreads, and that's fine. But a lot of them I just don't know. I'm not sure, so why not? And then maybe I've been reading fantasy, and then I join a readathon, and it's like, pick a contemporary romance or this or a classic, that kind of thing. So it pushes me around. So not all of the readathons I usually participate in happened in 2020 because of the coronavirus affecting those who are running them, and that's okay. But really quick, I participated. My highest readathon month was May, where I participated in 4 readathons. And in December, none. I participated in none at all. Actually, I think in November I didn't participate in anything either. I wanted to, but I don't think I actually did. Yeah, I had plans to participate in nonfiction November, but it didn't happen. And that's okay. And by mid-October, I was burnt out on the readathons, and I really just wanted to read what I wanted and what I had, and that worked out. Even in October, it wasn't much. It was the latter half of Latinx-a-thon, and a little bit of Victober. So total readathons participated in 21. That's right, guys. I participated in 21 readathons in the year of 2020. I am insane, yes. And I also participated in 4 read-alongs. I've mentioned them, or some of them already. One, Cosmere along, Elderling along, I mentioned. That was run by, from the Catch Up Book Club. I also participated in Tolkien along. There was, from Goodreads, there's a group I'm part of, Serious Overload of Series, SOS, and we had the Kitty Norval series read-along going. I failed abysmally at that. And lastly, at the end of the year, I joined in a court along for that. So those are the read-alongs I participated in 2020. So this is Editing Lachette in the future, letting you know that I forgot a couple of stats too. Real quick, I'm not doing the series update stats, even though I did that in the mid-years stats video. That will have its own thing eventually. So I read 24 books with new to me authors, and 74 with not new to me authors, which is not a surprise given how I read series, and I only count the first book that I've read by said author as new to me. So yeah, but this number is still up from last year, so that's good. And I anticipate in 2021 there will be even more, probably an even higher number, because I hope to be finishing a couple of series. Speaking of which, the other stat I forgot is types, and I read 14 standalone books, majority of which would be included in those 24 new to me authors, and 42 series, and I'm counting Mistborn Era 1, Mistborn Era 2, Stormlight Archive, all of the book short stories that bound up in Arcanum Unbounded, and all of that as one series, a Cosmere. Just, it makes my life so much easier. And yeah, and I had 8 rereads, which is less than I wanted, but I hope to do more rereads in 2021. To be perfectly honest, revisit a bunch of series that are my faves and refresh myself on series that are still ongoing and I haven't read from in a while. So yeah, that's it. Let's continue. Those are my 2020 reading stats. I, like I said, plan on adjusting my spreadsheet. How is your reading? Have you used a spreadsheet? If you haven't, if you're interested, again, 3 of them are linked down below. The 2 versions of Allie the Hardback Hoarders, the Book Riot one, and one other, which is like a booktube community creation, and that's also down in the description below. I am Frankensteining them together as we speak, as you watch this, because there was some stuff I wanted to expand on in my own stats and keeping up with things. How was your reading? How many books did you read in 2020? Let me know in the comments down below with some numbers. I'm interested. How do you use your stats, and do you use a spreadsheet or like a bullet journal or some other analog method? Let me know. I'm super curious. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. Bookish content is steady as she goes. Like I said, I've got one more 2020 wrap-up video. The 2020 book awards are coming. I couldn't just do my favorites and leave it at that. I needed to spread things out, same as I did last year. So hit that notification bell so you know when that video is coming, and after that, obviously, the usual bi-monthly wrap-ups, occasional tags, and occasional favorites videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a good day, night, afternoon, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.